welcome back. Now it's time for us to get into news review. And we have in studio Reverend BB. Okay, the one person we see on Zoom always is here in flesh and blood.
Yeah, we thank the Lord for today.
Good to see you.
It's the day the Lord has made.
Yeah.
We'll be glad and rejoice in it.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Well, the chair is blue, just so you know.
Yeah, blue is my favorite color. There's some blue in my shirt too.
Yeah.
Blue is my favorite color.
Well, yeah, so Reverend
some
BB.
form of blue as well.
So, yeah, right? I see if I knew you were coming.
That the Lord is our helper.
Just to light you up for the conversation,
Thank
right?
God.
But yeah, but you're welcome. Reverend BB is a fantastic man of God and also a builder. Koku will say he's a construction person, of course, a builder. Yeah, the of course parts for me. Really cool. So we're just going to be delving into news items real quick. We should be having Pastor Buddy online on Zoom pretty soon, right? Okay, so we're trying to get through to Pastor Buddy, and then we'll be hearing from him very soon. Now, many things have been happening. Hey, Ghana is busy. Oh. The world is even busier. Everything that Trump thinks about and brings to the table just makes the world cringe, but it is well.
He's a great guy.
Will we ever get there where Ghana makes a decision and it affects?
Oh, well, the thing is that Africa has once been there before, you know, where it was the center of civilization if you remember even the story of Joseph, how everybody was coming for grain from
right?
Africa, so
yes.
they didn't starve. So it's not like something that we've not seen before. And I believe that if we set our house in order, we'll be able to recapture our glory days. It's possible, you know. It's just that we need to understand it comes at a great cost. And today's kind of politician who is in for the gain, for their personal gain, it becomes very difficult because it comes with such tremendous sacrifice. I mean, recently I was watching the new young president of Botswana, and you know, he seems to have the same sort of energy of the Ibrahim Traore, you know, and then the Sahel guys have come together. We can see how they've been able to literally wipe off all the external debt of their country. They are not owing anything. They are nationalizing the things that should give them money and all that. So it takes somebody deciding that I'm going to bite the bullets, damn the consequences. And that kind of leadership, it's not common, not just in Africa, everywhere else. You know, I mean, it's one of the reasons why I have some respect for someone like Donald Trump. I mean, every American president has become richer after leaving office and during their time in office. He's the only one who became poorer, you know, because he wasn't in to try and get something for himself. He didn't take a salary, you know, and his net worth dropped, you know, and his golf courses were boycotted, sabotaged and all that. Yeah, you know, because that's how it is. Anytime you try to go against the tide, there's a price you must pay, because there are people who always benefit from the status quo, you know. As things are today in Ghana, you'll be surprised how it is making some people millionaires and billionaires, and they don't care who is in power because they own the systems. You know what I'm saying? So, for example, like people who import large volumes of, let's say, rice into the country, they would never ever support the president if he says part of the big push is we are going to cut off rice importation.
And
do exactly. You know, so you see that those guys will start to finance people to do protests. Let it look as if there's upheaval. They'll talk to the diplomatic community that, look, something is going on in Ghana that is not nice. Get the Americans, every people with vested interest to try and put pressure on the government. So normally when decisions are taken, if you are smart, you can read between the lines and really see what is going on. You know, so when you have someone who is, I don't care the consequence, I'm putting my people first, their life is always at risk, you know. Their life is always at risk.
I see. Well, we'll definitely get there by the grace of God. Not only grace, but getting to work where leaders are up to task. Pastor Buddy joins us on Zoom. Good morning, Pastor Buddy.
Good morning, Bia Dela.
Hey, it's been a long time I saw your wonderful
face. It's good to see you.
I don't know why I'm doing landscape mode this one. Is there technical team? Is there a reason I'm having to show my listing in landscape? Why not portrait? What's going on?
It's fine. All we need to see is your face. Landscape portrait.
That's fine. How
Yeah.
are you doing?
We're good. We're good.
After
We're
the
good.
watching, after the watching, we've not met again.
Did you have to say it on air? Which means that today is Tuesday. Watcher will not be bad at all.
Watching will not be bad at all. But
At all.
I am a little
you're on
picky
your
when
own.
it comes to eating wache anyway,
Really?
because I have a bit of intolerance for beans and lactose, you know.
Lactose intolerant.
And then some people also cook their beans with this saltpeter
Yeah,
town thing,
yeah.
and it really upsets my stomach. So when I eat wache, I will normally eat it at places where I've tried and tested and know that yes, the Lord is good.
What a shock.
I know, right?
Watch is one of the things we'll be eating.
I'm telling you, it's a blessing.
Hey.
Well, one of the very first things I want us to touch real quick, why is it that teachers are uncomfortable with licensure examination? I don't understand. You are going to teach people, you are going to examine them. There is mock, there's end of term examination. And we just want to see whether all the things you learned during your teacher training time, you can actually recollect and reproduce in the classroom. Teachers, I don't know why they cringe when it comes to licensure examination. There's a bid for...
It's stemming from the way professional exams are conducted in this country.
Okay, tell me.
You know, I am part of the Ghana Institute of Architects, and you have to write professional exams to be certified and then to be given even your stamp to operate as a legal entity, whether at the individual level or you want to set up a company and so on. Now, there is even in other jurisdictions, the assessment is even more expanded. But for us, Ghana Institute of Architects, I don't know what the other professional bodies do, but you are given a logbook, right, where you log in your practical day-to-day activity so far as your practice is concerned. Because it's not an academic exercise to get you to be licensed, because you're going to be dealing with real-life situations, you know. So you have your logbook where you are logging in what you are doing by the day. So you should be in an office that is recognized by the Ghana Institute of Architects. Okay, properly and duly registered. There should be a senior supervisor that will be countersigning your logbook to ensure that you are putting the right information. And the bulk of what you fill in must not just be office work. I designed a toilet, I designed a 5-bedroom house, I designed a classroom block, but it has to do with, you know, being in site meetings, for instance, progress reports that you prepare, projects that you are supervising and what exactly you are supervising, how you are coordinating with other allied professionals on the project, like you are working with a quantity surveyor, you are working with structural engineer, you are working with mechanical engineer, you are working with an electrical engineer, the M&P guys. So by the time you are sitting there to write the exam, you are well versed in what the practice is about. And then also the exam questions are such that you cannot just read a book and pass. It's not textbook stuff. So we also go for what we call PPE lectures, where professionals in the field come to talk to you about various aspects of the practice based on their experiences. So those lectures fill in the gaps for what you didn't experience, you know, in the course of your training. Because maybe in your office, you might have gone to meet 3-4 projects, which were at an advanced stage. You get what I'm saying? So they will talk to you about things you do before we even move to site, on site, and then what you do when you close up the project. Then as part of the exam, you also write an appraisal report of a project that you were practically involved with at certain stages, even if it's not from inception. You go for the project files, look at what was done at inception and see if it met statutory requirements, what was done during the project itself, even if it's not closed out, even your recommendations on the project and all that. So you have quite a very broad view. And it's a series of papers you are going to, it's not like one paper and then you are done. We write a series of papers on different aspects, you know.
Right.
And then when that is done, now you go for an oral examination where they're going to ask you the questions you answered and the ones you avoided answering. So ultimately you answer everything. And when you see the panel, you can pee. I'm telling you, you are talking about Niteko, Evans Amform, people with great experience in the field. They are not minnows. You know, some of the big buildings you see in town, they have done them. They worked in places like Uganda, Kenya, Europe, America. Some of them are involved with, you know, redesigning the JFK airport, stuff like that. Big guys with big portfolios. And some also come from academia, from
Right.
the university in tech, you know, and other allied universities. And they sit down and you will be grilled. You know, so when you are certified and you have your certificate, your confidence level is serious because you know that you've gone through the mill.
Yeah.
And so if any profession wants to be respected, you know, it is in their own interest to subject themselves to that level of rigor, to be sure that the product you are churning out is not a half-baked whatever. My year, I think if I'm not exaggerating, we were a little over 30. 10 actually passed and concession was made for an additional 5. So 15 of us graduated. And I'm talking about across many years. It's not just my year. So I had some of my seniors who were coming for World War III, World War IV, you know. You know, some was first time at, exactly. You know, so it's no joke. It's no joke. And I believe it's the same with the legal profession, any profession that takes their people serious. And every year you have to, you know, be attending some lectures, continuous professional assessment lectures, you know, to log in before you now pay your dues and all that. So it's a very complex maze. And I think that it's in the interest of our teachers to allow themselves to be subjected to these rigors, because even when opportunities open, especially in Commonwealth countries, which have similar systems like yours, it always gives you an edge when you have some of these licenses and these accreditations and papers and all that. In Africa, I don't know what the situation is like now, but I think only Ghana, Kenya, and I think South Africa are recognized by the Commonwealth Association of Architects. So we are the ones that if you went into any Commonwealth country or into the UK, you'll be exempted from, because you also have to right to practice in there. I think that's at the part 5 or 6, the rebar. You'll be exempted for I think 1 or 2 of the phases because of where you are coming from and what they believe that you have been through. So I think that if there's an aversion by the teachers, it's likely that it is purely academic. You see, and that does not help, because you see some that are very experienced in the classroom. They can deliver, you know, but when the exam becomes very, very academic, you edge out some of these people. And then you have people who have plenty degrees, like you see in the civil service. They don't do much. Then those who are doing the real work also never get to earn and get remunerated properly. And then it becomes a book-long sort of environment where the deliverables are not happening. In fact, in many advanced countries, those who hold doctorates and professors actually teach preschool. You will not believe it. Because they believe that is where the foundations are, and they understand the rudiments of education. So they build up the kids, you know, then those who don't even have the very advanced degrees can top up from there, because the main work that grounds them is done. They come up with all this research of, you know, certain things bruise children's ego, how it affects their emotions, rest they need, you know, how to even fix break time so that they can maintain their attention. That kind of research is done by those who are top in academia, and then those in the practice field work with it. So maybe it's an aversion. My suspicion is that is being made a purely academic thing. And that's why to put off any professional. Look, I know people who were very smart in school who failed the professional exam. It's not about smartness. You see your smoothness level. Because if they start asking things in practice and you've never seen or experienced one before, you cannot answer the question if you are given an open book.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the report says in 2023, 8,000 out of 20,000 teachers failed the exam. And then in 2022, 44,000 out of 120 candidates were unsuccessful. So, and that is a very huge number.
Yeah.
Koku was talking about the leakages, the porosity of the system, the marking. I have seen a number of protocol lists, you know, fly in some of these exams and what's the name, results and stuff like that. So, I mean, the moment there's a system, there seems to be some sort of spoiling attached to it. Pastor Buddy?
Yes.
Yeah. Your take on this, please.
I agree. I agree to an extent to what Reverend Bibi is saying, and I think that the part I agree with is the fact that licensure exams is supposed to standardize the board and make sure that if you are coming from a certain system, we know your capabilities. It's the same for the medical practice. It's the same for the medical laboratory practice. It's the same for the law institution as well. And I think this morning there's something about the law, the bar exam, and so on and so forth. Those license exams are very important because they help us to know whether or not you are fit for practice within a particular industry. And that's what Reverend Bibi beautifully summarized. Now, the part that the people are fighting against is not necessarily the academic part, it's the structure. You know, the kind of, the way exams are done in Ghana, it's like you use 2 or 3 days or a week to justify the entire stay that you've had in the learning institution. Like BC, you go to school for like 9 years, and then in 1 week you are made to justify whether or not the 9 years is, you know, something. So if you fall sick in that 1 week, you have to wait for the following year. And I think it's a very faulty system. Same for WASI. WASI, you use a few days, a few hours to justify your inclusion across board, and the pressure, because if you are writing more than one subject, right? If you are writing maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 subjects, like it is done in the BC, they write about, I think sometimes we use like 12 or 10. I don't know how many they write now.
Yeah.
But yes. So I don't know how, I think that they've reduced it to like, I don't know, 7. I'm not too sure. And then WASI also is 1 month or at most 2, from May to July. the visual arts and pre-book
The
reports
They start earlier, yeah.
Yes, and then you do that, and the last paper is always selective maths. I remember, you know, that is when you see tears, premium tears, because if you blank out in that 1 hour, that's it. Fortunately for me, because of the kind of career I chose, or the kind of path I took in the university, for forensic science, it's not like that. Forensic science, we don't do end of semester exams. We do modules. So you do anatomy 1, you write the exam for anatomy 1. You do physiology 1, and it stands till the end of your learning. You know, so it is incremental learning. You do anatomy 1 before you do anatomy 2. You do physiology 1 before you do physiology 2. Then you do anthropology. Then you do forensic dentistry. Then you do it incrementally. You don't. It's nothing like you've studied 7 courses in a semester. Then there's end of semester period, 2 weeks. You go and sit down, and then you study back to back different subjects. Then you go and write. It's stressful, and it's unfair. It doesn't really reflect the fair. If you do that, it's those who can chew and pour that will pass.
Right.
It's not those who can really
competence.
understand. It's those who can chew and pour that will pass. Yes, exactly. And so many times, like what Reverend Bibi is saying, we turn out people who are academically good, but then on the job they are not that good, because they have the ability to do rote learning. They can come and reproduce and pour and basically pass. And the emphasis on the passing of the exam has made it such that people don't really care about the practical side of things. You know, so you see teachers that are qualified, teachers that are written like exams and pass supposedly, who cannot handle even a primary school class. When you go and sit in the sitting of such a teacher, the teacher is teaching, you wonder how they got admission to training college. You know, forget about license exams. How did they even enter there? Because they are English, even the communication is not going well.
It's too
and
powerful.
sometimes the teachers have to use they have to use the local language of the students to try to explain what they are saying. And then you have those issues are purely administrative, because if you have an Ewe teacher teaching in Ashanti region at a basic level, that's a problem, because these children are now learning the English language, and sometimes you maybe have to use the tree to teach them the English, because then how would they understand? That one is like purely administrative. But I'm trying to say that the skill, in terms of skill, many of these teachers are so lacking in terms of skill. So I think it's the structure of the exams that needs to be looked at.
Right.
When the NDC was in opposition, they said they'll scrap it. But when they came, they realized that no, we need to do a committee. So they did it. And the recommendation of the committee was that they shouldn't scrap the license exam. They should rather restructure it and incorporate it into the training college system, so that before you pass out of the training college, you would have written the exam.
Right.
And I believe that is a better way to go about it than to cancel it altogether. If we cancel it, then we are opening the floodgates for things that we are not really ready for. There's no standardization. We can't really tell if a teacher is ready or not. The fact that you've been to medical school and you've passed 1 or 2 exams doesn't mean that you are ready to do medical practice. We need to be sure.
Yeah.
External, like what Reverend Bibi was saying, these are external people. The big names that you mentioned in the architecture industry, you can't bribe them. They don't even know you. So, and the thing is also oral. So you are sitting there. When I was in Bible school, we write MCQs, we write the other part of the exam, and then we do orals. You are sitting there, they're asking you doctrinal things, and then you are actually using scriptures. How do you lie? How do you can, like you say, you can run away from certain questions, in the written part. Here, we are asking you, you are here, and it's timed. You don't have the whole day to answer. So it helps. It helps. We don't have to go down this road. And even to enter places like the Ghana Armed Forces, when you have licenses like teacher's license, you are a doctor,
advantage.
Exactly. Those people are prioritized first. Artisans, like those who have studied plumbing, and all those people are put first before the rest of you who have general qualifications. You go to do political science, move to the left. All those who have done general arts, move to the left. All those who are going to do those general people, wait. We look for the specialists first, those who can actually.
Oh no, that's a break in there.
It's making some very powerful points.
Yes.
So that's
but I mean, I totally agree with him that, well, then it means that we need to restructure. That's what they're saying. So that by the end of the teacher training, season, that's how many years?
I honestly don't know, but because now they have been elevated to the levels of universities, I think it should be 4 years.
It should be 4 years,
because
right?
they are now all educational colleges. So like at what we knew as Accra Training Colleges, now Accra whatever, something education. There's some educational colleges attached to that. I can't remember the name because I think during the MPP time too many things were sort of adjusted. Because sometimes we lose the essence why those things were created. You see, like the polytechnics, they are created for a reason. So when you change all of them to universities, you miss out completely.
Well, they're calling them technical universities.
That's what I'm saying, that it's dangerous, you see, because the criteria for what qualifies an institution to be a university is very different from that of polytechnics. In Germany, people prefer to go to polytechnics more than even the universities because they get paid better. They run industry. So the issue of polytechnics was to create that workforce that will connect research to industry.
Right.
So they can interpret the design ideas of the academic into building up the tools and the component parts. And then they produce those component prototypes for industry to replicate, and then production happens. So what we are doing is that we are now turning all those pure technocrats into academics, and it's dangerous. Because at the end of the day, we are now going to have, let me give you a typical example. Like in my field, right, I'm an architect. I design.
And of course, a builder.
But I don't, yes, but even when I say I'm a builder, I supervise and manage projects. I don't lay blocks. I don't lay bricks. I don't mix mortar. I don't mix concrete. I don't have the capacity to test for certain strengths and qualities of these materials. That is where the polytechnics come in. They are dealing with the academic ratios that have been given in mixing some of these components and test those iron rods. Look at how the thing has to be bent by the way the engineer has drawn it and all that. So they normally are what we call the foremen or the project managers, the construction managers. So they fill that gap. They pick the drawing as it is, and then gather the workforce. They're able to tell this one I'll need 15 workers to do it. I'll need 6 workers to do it. That is not within my purview unless I go and study project or construction management. So they fill that gap. They provide that interface between design, manpower, and then realization of the projects physically. You see, so immediately we start to turn that person now also into what the architect has. Then who fills that gap? You know, so that is why if you watch carefully, you see that in certain industries, quality of artisanal work is dropping and dropping very fast.
That's very true.
And unfortunately, like Pastor Buddy mentioned, we are leaving the fine finishes to people who have no training, because our society thinks when you have failed academically, then you go and be a mason, you go and be a seamstress. That is why every time a seamstress sew for you, they always have to go and do alteration, they have to go and do a fitting. It's not because they are daft, but it's the person doesn't understand fractions. So if it measures your sleeve and it is your sleeve length, and let's say it's 14 inches, they can't appreciate what 1/8 of an inch is. So they look for the closest whole number. Yeah. Then when you come and do the fitting, they pin up, and then, you know, so that's the challenge. My mother is a seamstress. She's been doing this since she was 18. My mother is now 76. That's the only profession she's practiced. And she tells me that is the biggest challenge she has had in her industry, where because of the lack of understanding of fractions, she always has to supervise everything, no matter how many years of training that she puts them through, because she takes precision. My mother can look at people's pictures, right, and sew for them that this person's a size, this person's a size, that. And it is sent outside, and the person wears it, and there's no flaw.
It fits perfectly.
You know, and this is a middle school Form 4 leaver. So it should tell you, and that's the equivalent of GHS today. So it should tell you the quality of what they had back then and how watered down it is today. Because if that person at that level can demonstrate the level of skill, and we have people who are SS graduates, and she still has to supervise them, even to write the measurements. It's a miracle service when you watch. You know, some of them writing, they call the three-quarter. They don't know how to write the three-quarter. They can't write it in words. They can't write as a fraction. And it's quite a pain to watch 3/8 and those things. They can't figure it out.
Miracle service, you say.
Yeah.
Well, because I agree with that, because I have a friend, Vonsinu Designs. Anytime I go to her shop, she's quite worried about, you know, workers, the quality of workers that come to her shop. They are unable to catch her vision.
Exactly.
Be able to, you know, so every project that comes, she has to be there to make sure it is done.
You struggle to delegate.
Right.
Even some of your hair stuff that the ladies do. Some of the scalping and painful things you get in your hair, because the people can't read what is on the label. So you might as well read your stuff, you get what I'm saying? And then tell them when you get there that you don't leave this thing in my hair more than 8 minutes. At this point, you must do that. They may first brand you as too known. Then they'll realize that, since Auntie Bia de Lucky, she's never complained about her scalp, you know, getting burnt.
Right.
Maybe I should use her formula for
And sometimes
the
what
other
they do
people.
is that they will let you keep the time yourself.
Exactly.
And come back there as
Aswana. And it's better, you know, do that and save your head than getting it roasted, you know.
But isn't it even sad that in looking at these people that the society is struggling with, and some of these people make it to the classrooms, and they are training our future leaders.
Exactly.
That's a big mess.
Exactly.
Anyway, well, let's get back to still on exams. Government to replace Ghana School of Law admissions with National Bar exams. Some people are very excited about this, because then it means that you don't have to go and write an exam, and then they'll now call you to say that, okay, you can be part and you cannot be part. If you fail the exam, that's it. Well, the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Dr. Dominic Ayine, has announced a sweeping reform to Ghana's legal education system that would abolish the current Ghana School of Law admission structure and replace it with a national bar examination. The proposed changes outlined during the Government Accountability Series in Accra on Monday, July 28, 2025, are part of new legal education bill expected to be submitted to Cabinet in August. The reforms aim to decentralize professional training and expand access to the bar for all qualified LLB graduates. Now, under the new model, it says students who obtain LLB degrees from accredited universities will undertake 1-year bar practice program. So that's more like you're doing, is it attachments, we call it?
So in my field, for example, you actually do that.
You do that,
You have
right?
to do that. So that's what I was talking about, that you do at least a year to 18 months, and then you are logging in your book.
Right,
because you are going to practice law. You are not going to be rattling
so that we
what is
don't
in
have
books.
lawyers who only know cases
Yeah.
and then the ruling,
I'm
but
telling
cannot
you.
apply it in
Exactly.
the courtroom.
Exactly.
I see. And Dr. Ayini stated, well, let's get back to that. It says that universities will be allowed to provide practical legal education internally, and then successful students will write national bar exam, just like what is done by the Institute of Chartered Accountants.
Exactly.
And then the Chartered Architects.
Exactly.
Okay. Then I think that this is really cool. You want to add something to it?
Yeah,
it's like it just falls into your first submission.
Exactly.
Really.
My only thing I'm going to add here is that I know also there's a strong clamoring for Makola alone not to become the only place where the LLB holders go for their training. And I think some schools are being given a necessary permit. We need to understand that this new model, may create a situation where we are going to have a higher intake. So I think that just like the conundrum of the free SHS, this move must go hand in hand with expanding facilities and access.
Right.
You understand? Because that is what frustrates the good ideas we always have. Sometimes it's not so well thought through that we have a lot of infrastructural gaps when it comes to the implementation phase. So free SHS was good. We are having more people entering senior high school, but it's the same buildings, same dining halls, same libraries. How does it work? So then same food, then we come up with all these congestion issues. So my only caution here will be that the possibility of having larger student intake is very much connected to this new move. Therefore, if we have to expand the facilities in Makola, if we are going to get other schools to come in, government should quickly facilitate the process and make sure that people have the access, because the danger is when people are not well trained and they are released, I'm telling you, they can become such fantastic disasters. You would not even want to imagine. And just like what Pastor Buddy said about some of the teachers speaking dangerous English.
Very terrible.
A few times I've also heard lawyers, and I wonder, so wow.
Are you a lawyer?
Maybe, because I've seen people who are very good in they can write very well, but when they start to speak, the English seems to be quite chaotic. I remember one of our finance ministers, the Osafomafo, there's a way he used to pronounce certain words, and it used to make me laugh. So we want to present, he will never say present them, but we want to present the budget. They speak the very old Gold Coast type of, English. And it used to fascinate me so much. We want to present the budget. There's the fiscal. When the way you use fiscal policy, I always used to think it was the word physical, and they couldn't pronounce it well. Until later, I found that it was FIS.
Yeah.
But it's fiscal policy. So sometimes people's enunciation of the words and all that. So let's not get the legal profession watered down. If more people are going to come in through this door, let's create also access so that as many people as possible, when they get in, can have quality training, so that we don't fall short.
Yeah. Is Pastor Buddy still there?
I'm sorry, the hiccup.
Oh, okay.
The internet.
It's always good to be in the studio.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, right.
And I agree. I agree with what Reverend Didi is saying. I agree fully with what he's saying. I spoke to a number of my lawyer friends when this news broke, and I was asking them what they thought about it. And I was asking them because they're under a lot of pressure. Some of them live in Accra and they go to court in Ho, they go to court in New Ebrim, they go to court in Kuforidia. And I'm like, aren't there lawyers there? Or is it that you are the few good ones that everybody wants to come to? And they're like, no, there are very few lawyers. And again, Ghana Legal Aid has been crying for a long time. They understand. personally, I've been to courts a number of times where there was an accused person standing in a box of a very serious crime, sometimes murder, and the lawyer didn't come. The lawyer didn't show up.
Oh.
And I remember one time the judge was very angry, and he said if the next time he calls this case and the lawyer doesn't show up, that the accused person should report that there is a process that he can go through and report the lawyer. Because if you have signed up to take a certain case, you have to come to court. Which one is you are busy or you can't come to court and all these things? And maybe the court was in, this was a Cape Coast High Court. It happened in Cape Coast High Court. So imagine if the person is coming from Accra and this person doesn't have a lot of money to give him, like maybe most times they'll take fuel money and stuff like that. If this guy doesn't have money to give him, to buy fuel, he will not be motivated. But yes, probably nobody should go to court without representation. I believe that's what legal aid is there for.
Yeah.
They will be assigned to them pro bono and they'll be paid by the government. But the main issue here is it okay for us to open the floodgates for everybody to enter? Madam Sophia Kufu has been of a long-standing view that no, it is the profession, the profession. And so, I mean, a few people should be able to. I disagree. I totally disagree. It's just like the way we are always complaining about the doctor-patient ratio, but we also have made the entrance exam for medicine. So, I mean, in places like the US, you can do visual arts and still end up a doctor because there's a way to enter, to switch. In Ghana, if you didn't do science, forget it. Forget it. If you didn't do science, just go to bed. Even if you did something close to science, just forget it. And I remember one of my good friends in the US, he's a PhD person in Georgia, University of Georgia. He was talking about how that one of his professors was very shocked, the lady, when she got to learn that in Ghana, people are made to choose their careers in secondary school. It's like, at that age, what do they know? How do they even know what they want to do in future? Why not just prepare them so that they can enter any field? And that's what they do over there. So you end up with a lot more of these professionals. Now, the problem with opening up the Ghana School of Law exams and making it a national bar exam is that now more campuses will be taking the course. LLB, all public universities that offer LLB will be able to prepare their students for the national bar exam. Lecturers, that's one big issue. That's the first issue I saw with this, lecturers. You see, the GSL now foots the bill and also takes lead on recruitment of lecturers. And right now, they have very quality lecturers. Some of them are even judges. During the recent vetting for the Supreme Court judges, said, Dominic, when you were speaking, I was like, hey, we have such people in Ghana. I mean, he's asked the question, he said, oh, have a book on it. There are about 2 or 3 questions, and he has a book, he has written a book on it. The man is so knowledgeable. Now, when the thing is opened, University of Ghana, UCC, Tech, UPSA, GamePad, these are the ones I can mention off the top of my head. How are they going to get the lecturers of that quality to be able to make sure that the program is running effectively? These are some of the issues. And like Reverend Bibi was saying, issues of infrastructure. KJT at the law school there, for some time, they were even attending lectures in the KNUST library. And these are some of the things that we need to look at to make sure that if we are going to take such a step, even though it's a good step, it doesn't end up becoming terrible because we're not prepared for it. So we have to look at the infrastructural side. We have to look at the human resource side. We have to also look at the motivation. Because if Legon is paying better than Tech, then most of the lecturers will be concentrated in Legon and not Tech. It's going to be a problem. And so we have to make sure that the implementation part of the thing goes very well. Other than that, to be shooting ourselves in the foot again. We will just be chasing shadows again, which has always been the case. Very nice ideas, poor implementation, disaster.
Anyway, well,
it's a problem.
It's a huge problem. I think I was having a conversation with some. They are into learning disabilities, trying to help children, dyslexia, right? And they were also talking about good implementation, good policies, but very terrible implementation that also even affects the children, right? Who already feel left out of the society.
Exactly.
It's a big mess. Well, let's get on with some law cases. Dufour's case. Big issue, right? Not yet a disaster. Well, we're still... Minority is upset about the fact that Dufour seems to be having it easy. They said to rescind or resign, depending on where you woke up from, the decision of face us in court. Minority says to Attorney General Dr. Dominic Akuritinga Ayini to immediately reverse the decision to discontinue high-profile criminal case against Dr. Kwabena Dufour and 7 others of face legal action. Addressing journalists on Monday, 28, the ranking member of the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee of Parliament, Kwame Enyimadu Enchi, criticized the Attorney General's decision to enter a nollie prosequi. Enimedu. Oh, I'm an Ewe, just forgive me. Oh, don't do that.
Which one is Animadu?
Enimedu. Do. A nollie prosequi, a legal procedure to drop charges in the Republic versus Kwabena Dufour and 7 others. Now, the case stemmed from alleged financial crimes uncovered during the Bank of Ghana's financial sector cleanup exercise, with Unibank at the center of the controversy, and a staggering 5.7 billion Ghana cedis, Lord Jesus, reportedly accounted for. Well, now we're not supposed to quote all these in dollars, would have been, shaking by now, and all of that. Well, the crux of the issue is that the minority are not excited about this. The questions they are asking is this: what is the legal basis for the 60-40 recovery policy? And was it ever made public or approved by Parliament? Because they don't seem to know about it. Why was no court-supervised plea bargain or conviction secured as required under Section 35 of the Courts Act? And these are the concerns that they're raising. Some also think that there seem to be some sort of conflicts of interest because the Attorney General happened to be one of the legal representations of Kwabena Dufour when the case started. And now that he's representing the state, there seems to be some sort of conflict of interest right there. Reverend Bibi, why are you smiling a lot? Just fire away.
I feel a little disappointed.
Why?
Because it throws a wrench, into the spoke wheel of the whole oral agenda.
Right.
And again, it re-echoes the damage that politics and politicians keep doing to this our dear nation. You never know whether they mean what they say or what they are saying is what they mean.
Because the excitement when oral came.
Exactly. Because again, if you had listened to the whole statement that the Attorney General made, when he got to the oral, because of this particular issue, for the first time he was making concessions that even though oral stands for Operation Recover All Loot, the all here is being used advisedly because legally speaking, we can't always have all of the loot. And he gives some very exciting and interesting reasons for that. Sometimes the loot has been expended in a way that you cannot have it back. Sometimes the assets are not the assets that you will get. The assets are non-existent. When they are when even they are existent, when you take hold of them and you try to dispose of them to get the money, you don't get up to the value of what it is that has been stolen, and so on and so forth. And then he also added that sometimes the loot is not with the culprit per se, but they supervised the looting and for which they are held culpable and all that. So why lead us on? You know, it's just like I meet me at the line, I tell you, I'm going to give you the wedding of a lifetime. I mean, the whole world hasn't seen that wedding before. Now I come and tell you, you know, but we have to be careful about the weather if it doesn't rain, because I want to have it at the beachfront. So if it rains, you know, the pergola supplier who is going to supply the pergola for where we'll say our vows, if he delivers on time, you know, and I really wanted TD Jakes to come. I don't know whether he will get a flight. You know, then you start to wonder, so what is the wedding of a lifetime now if there are so many ifs and variables within the equation, you know, and in all sincerity, I feel quite disappointed, you know, and especially coming from this Attorney General. He's come with a lot of verve, a lot of energy, and it seems to me the president has given him all the freedom to deal with anyone, including even his own appointees.
Right.
And it already issued, you know, a letter to Yoko to investigate Yamin and the third vice, you know, chairman of the party. I felt actually these guys, their bullets doesn't know party colors. Once you fall in the line of fire, you're going to go down. And then, you know, with what has happened today, I'm quite disappointed. First and foremost, that Dr. Kwabena Dufo actually contested their primaries tells you that he's no mean person in the party. And that, you know, this 60%, what signal are we sending? You know, so if I can just hold 60% of whatever money I steal in trust, just keep it there and just sort out myself with a 40, I can fall within the bracket. In fact, I would even do 35 and give the 65% back. I even did better than Uncle KD, you know, and so on and so forth. I don't know where all this is going, but it's not pretty, it's not funny, it's not nice. And, you know, I don't know, but I feel a little let down, you see. And I would have wished, that a statement was made by Kwabena Dufo and his legal counsel to plead that, you know, our assets are not in good condition to be liquidated to meet the full payment. We've been able to pay up to X amount, and we are willing to top up to whatever quantum it will get to, you know. Then maybe subsequent to that statement, AG comes to tell us, well, in our negotiations and all that, we have done up to 60% or 65%. The assets that are there are A, B, C, D, E. Even if we liquidated, we'll not be able to get all our money back. And on that basis, maybe, you know, X, Y, Z is the position of the government. But to let it look like it's sort of a policy position, you know, and that we can't recover all, it's a very lame and weak argument. And it's opening the floodgates for all sorts of funny things to happen. I am terribly disappointed and very, 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 very unhappy, to say the least. You know, and I mean, if people can start raising funds to hit the 60% threshold, I'm sure they are going to work. So what was all this Yoko locking people up for a week? People come to sit on the streets. Just a charade. I mean, it's like, I don't like it when patriotism is trounced this way. And I don't know what the presidency is going to do about it. But I wish this thing was not made public at this time. It's made me lose interest even in following up all the other cases, whether it's a Dubois here or Wontumi or Professor Amaya Kumfi or whatever. Because we may just realize, we may just hear that, oh, one of them fell down in court, was begging and said he'll give even 70%. You know, and so, you know, we have called him behind closed doors and we are sorting it out. You know, because I don't think that if people stole goods, ordinary citizens stole goods, listen, I've only eaten the head of the goat. The rest is in the freezer. I'm prepared to return it. Yeah, I'm prepared to return it. So I'm begging the judge. You know, I mean, somebody made an allusion like that, and then the Attorney General referred to it in his speech that when you use the good thing, it's an oversimplification. Mind you, God forbid, if Dr. Dufo had been jailed and the good thief had been jailed, they will not go to different prisons. They will not be dealt with different circumstances of being penalized. So why are we doing this to ourselves? It's almost like when you are influential and powerful, we want to find out from you what kind of punishment you are willing to take for your offense. But when you are Mr. Nobody, Charlie, let the law be applied to its full rigor so that,
the law is the law.
You know, and we are rather filling our prisons and the places, you know, choked with people who could have been giving community service. And then big things like this. And you know what is annoying, Pastor Buddy? This thing is supposed to have been 5.7 billion. It's been reviewed down to 3.3 billion. This morning, in your briefing, you are telling us that an additional 189 million has been found in national service. You see, even the 0.7 behind the 5 billion of Dr. Dufour's case is bigger than all the national service money. So why do we leave an elephant and go chasing a bush rat? because it makes good political music. I don't think it is good, And if there is something that is going to cast President Mohammed's government in a bad light, it is one of these unfortunate moves by the Attorney General, I must say.
Pastor Buddy?
Issues of the law, we can't play with them. And I agree totally with everything that Reverend Bibi has. I think you said the point is very clear. This is going to be a shadow that will follow the Muhammad government if they don't look at it properly. It's not a matter of party colors. The minority has been making noise about a lot of very needless things. So this one that is important, people are not really paying attention. That's what happens when you cry wolf. They are making a very good point. And the conflict of interest issue that they raise is a very scary thing. How can you allow the one who was a legal counsel for the man to be determining the fate of the same man? It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. And so if there's anything that the government can do or will do with respect to this case to make sure that the justice that we are saying we are looking for is applied equally to everybody across the board. We don't want any shakara things. We are not interested in any shakara. This man, Dr. Dufour, will have to go through the same regiment. At Tuesday, it was the same thing.
Exactly.
He could produce some part of the money.
30 million out of the 90 million.
Mm-hmm.
So why was he jailed then? What are we doing? So if you say, okay, his own wasn't up to 60%, no, you are still not being fair. You are still not being fair. We are not even talking about millions of cities. We are talking about billions. And we are talking about a cash-strapped government that needs all the money it can get from all the people who have mismanaged stuff. We don't want to get into the... Dr. Yini is a very respected lawyer.
Very
respected lecturer of the government.
Very.
Yes, he's been here for a very long time. He doesn't need to go down this road. He doesn't need to go down this road at all. And like Reverend Bibi was saying, he's beginning to make concessions about, the oral, no, we can, hey, please. That's not what we started. We don't want to hear any stories. If we are going to deal with people who have stolen money, then let's deal with all of them.
Right.
And let's deal with all of them.
Right.
But it's not about, we can't even say he's stolen money or he's not stolen money because the thing needs to go to court. And again, they were even raising issues about, even if it is a plea bargain that people have entered, there are laws that govern plea bargains. You can't just circumvent all those laws because you are Attorney General. And again, this issue raises the very, very critical, I think this is an administrative issue. Whenever you have an Attorney General who is obviously going to be a lawyer, who is going to oversee all government cases, going to argue on behalf of the government, having to be involved in a prosecution of a matter that involves one of his former clients, there must be a provision in the law to recuse himself.
Yeah.
Or that maybe the deputy will take lead on it, or this particular issue needs to be addressed because it leaves a very big gap in the administration of the Attorney General's powers. It can't be that somebody who was an accused person's former lawyer is the one taking lead on prosecuting this same person. You have inside information on the person's dealings. If you are the person's lawyer, then you know everything about the person's position on the case. Why would you now be the one to no. Even a young, and these are the issues we expect to Kujatu and Coach to be making noise. These are the things we expect those people who say they stand for integrity and have been making noise in our years with oral all these years. This is the time we need them to get up and say no. Dr. Kwabena Dufour and Reverend Bibi made the point that I hadn't really thought about it too, that the man was contesting for flag bearer in NDC. He could have potentially have been the president by now. Mm-hmm. He could have been the president. And so we don't need this kind of bad press. It doesn't just look good it's not a bad look for the government, it's a bad look for the country. And we are making very good strides, in our corruption fight. We are attracting foreign investors, we are doing well. We are making sure that people have a confidence in the Ghanaian economy and the Ghanaian money space again. Let's not thwart it with this very ill thought of move. Let's do what we need to do. Let's do the right thing. Dr. Ayini should kindly, respectfully, and honorably step aside in this issue, and let's have a smooth case running. Let's go to court. If he has evidence, he has things that he can defend himself with. The judges are there. They are competent enough to listen and to be able to decide what to do. 60-40, we don't know where it's coming from. We don't know where this 60-40 thing is coming from. And like Reverend Bibi is saying, it's true. I will spend 30%. I will even do you one better. I will do 30. You can take the 70 because if I steal 5.6 billion, 30% of 5.6 billion can settle my family for life. It's still in the billion.
And that
It's
means
still
that will
in
be
the
purely
billions.
corruption.
We will not work again in our lives till we die. We will not work again. So 30%, I'll invest the 70 for you, get interest. I'll pay the 70 and then I'll manufacture excuses for the rest. Look at such a handsome, honorable looking man. Let's not do this.
Well, we have just a few minutes to go. But I want us to touch on the National Security Operatives allegedly stormed Forestry Commission to demand office closure. I saw the video yesterday.
For what reason?
Let me just read. It's all about this Galamsey thing. So, over 50 fully armed men, believed to be national security operatives, yesterday surrounded and effectively shut down the offices of the Forestry Commission in Bekwai district of the Ashanti. Look, the one who took the video, you could see that the person was taking his stealth. Like, it was such a mess. The unexpected and forceful presence disrupted official duties for the day, leaving the staff and onlookers in a state of shock and confusion. According to the bewildered officers on the scene, the national security operatives arrived unannounced and informed them they were acting by orders from above to close the offices and take possession of the keys. I mean, the precise reasons for the drastic measure remain officially undisclosed, fueling intense speculation. If I have to wake up to go to work and this is what I'll be facing, what's the point in working for the nation? I'd rather look for a private company that will even pay me more. Sources within the commission, forgive me, excuse me, who requested anonymity due to the sensitive nature of the situation, revealed that staff have been under significant pressure and even direct threats for their active role in arresting illegal miners within the vital Oda River Forest Reserve. So there's a program that's in the cracker and saying the cracker of the matter is that illegal miners are upset. And so, because of that, they have people looking like, because I am not sure that the national security would send operatives without an official letter or warrant, backing them. And then this is where we are.
The reason why I said I was very disappointed with the Attorney General's thing is for things like these, you see. The Galamsey struggle has become difficult because both sides of the political divide have influential people who have been fingered publicly and privately of being culpable in that unfortunate act. So you see, for the NDC guys who might be involved, their belief is that, so now we must have the leeway to also flow because those other guys were arresting and stopping us.
You muddied the water more than us.
Exactly. So that's exactly, you muddied the water more than us, So that is exactly the same thing that will play in the corruption case, where it will be like, oh, we even got 60%. We did better than you. There's somebody who come and now, like Pastor Buddy said, come and okay, we have upped it to 70%.
70.
So in the end, who suffers? The ordinary Ghanaian who keeps keeping hope in the politician, trusting that when I make a change, I'm going to get a different outcome. And you only get a slightly modified version. It's almost like you order an iPhone and then it comes and then this one, you can't dim the screen. Then it comes the same function, but they've only added an ability to dim the screen. So in the end, you really didn't get an improvement.
Right.
Just one more function to either dim or brighten the screen, which most of us don't use. Then you get another version that it dims or brightens automatically depending on the light intensity where you are in. So one is manual, one is automatic, but it's the same iPhone 16 Pro Max. You get what I'm saying? So that is what is happening with us. It's very unfortunate that, someone can go and do this, and the main motivation is that this same forest reserves we are saying we are not going to mine in, someone is in it and is doing all that. Because mind you, one of the reasons why Wontumi is being prosecuted is that he went into a forest reserve.
Yes.
And this is an Oda forest reserve. So when you were in opposition, NDC, you said we would totally expunge that particular law. Then you come and you say we'll rather do an amendment. To what
right?
effect? To what?
I get it. So exactly, I don't even understand.
You see, because again, it's giving us room to have all this political hazakes and maneuvering that is going on. So sometimes I don't even know whether we mean well, whether we just want political power. When will somebody put Ghana first and say, damn the consequences, I want to do what is right for my nation? I know my party will not like me. I know some of my friends and loved ones will not like me. But ultimately, Ghana will win and posterity will judge me well. I don't know who will bite that bullet. I told you I was watching the new president of Botswana. He said, the procurement system is fraught with delays. So people come to power who have good intentions, but those delays don't make them deliver. He said, take me on record. I would not follow any procurement system. After I don't want to prosecute him when he's gone, but he will get the job done. He said he has not slept for more than 4 hours since he became president because every night he's awake because he's promised his country people that minimum wage will come to, I don't know whether it's $2,500 or whatever, that he is going to ensure that it is done. He said, I am an unhappy man. I'll be happy when the last Botswanian is happy. Then we all can be happy and then relax and throw parties. But until then, we are going to work. When will, you see, and he said that what I'm saying, my own people don't like it. I'm unpopular with them. But we must start to put Botswana first. When will we have leaders like that rising in Africa who say, listen, I would do it or die trying? This thing is just going to go on. And I'm sure this is what the news has captured. I'm sure there are other ones that have not come. You know, I think Honorable Hannah Bisu, Dr. Bisu said she arrested some tractors, whatever, excavators, and took them, I think 33 or something. In the end, only 4 are left. Charlie, this Hazakes thing, I don't like it because the feeling was that change is here.
Yeah.
And the key word driving this change is reset.
Reset.
So when a reset brings me back to my old time, which is 4 hours late, then you might as well not reset the watch, you know. And some of these things are disheartening. And I think that maybe those who are working with the president have not yet brought themselves to really catch the vision of what he is trying to do. And I think that if these things persist, the president should just start sacking some people, maybe just to scapegoat a few people to wake up the system, because it's just not right. It's just not right.
Pastor Buddy.
I think there's very little to add. If we are going to do the same old things the same old way, we're going to have the same results. You know, listening to Reverend BB talk about the president of Botswana and the kind of things that he said, he was giving me goosebumps. He was giving me goosebumps. Look, sometimes I listen to Nkrumah's speeches and I'm like, whoa, if this guy had been in power for maybe just 5 more years.
Oh, would overtake Dubai, totally.
Exactly, because I know I've watched several times. I've watched the documentaries of Lee Kuan Yew, and I'm like, what kind of a person is that? When Lee Kuan Yew came into power in Singapore, they were less than a third world country. They had just come out of war. They were oh my goodness, and they don't have any natural resource that we have gold they didn't have nothing. This guy decided that he will make the place just attractive for people to come and spend their money. And he damned the consequences, like Reverend BBC. His own people didn't like him. If you steal, he will put you in detention and you will vomit all the money. If you are his appointee and you dare to be corrupt, he go over you. And he became so unpopular, but he didn't care. By the time they saw the literal transformation, people, you know, you talk about affordable housing, and then what's the price of that affordable housing? It's in the millions of cedis. Are you okay?
It's affordable.
$80,000, $120,000.
And it's even priced in dollars.
Affordable housing. When Lee Kuan Yew was doing this affordable housing, people who were artisans could afford it, and they could take it on mortgage and pay little by little. I'm talking about a country that didn't even have potable water. At the end of the day, he had created well-organized, planned urban communities. I mean, we all know what Singapore looks like today, and it's largely because of what Lee Kuan Yew did. We need somebody who will have the balls to say, yo, what I said is what I said. The president of Botswana will pray for you. Because when you start with this much enthusiasm, by the time you realize he's been assassinated by very strange actors, we don't even know where they come from. If you don't know, President Ibrahima Traore has survived so many assassination attempts now. He's been under attack. He's been a target for so many. I think it's been about 3 or so years. The level of transformation Burkina Faso has seen in these past 3 years, they've not seen it since Sankara. And so we need to have, when we talk about church, when we talk about the youth church, these are the issues. When I listen to that bishop talk about, whenever he calls for a meeting, these are the things he always talks about. That Ghana needs to change. And for the past few months, and for the past maybe 3 or 4 months, his emphasis has been on, he's not happy with the way people are traveling to the UK, the US, professionals going to work menial jobs. It doesn't make sense that you will leave a good job in Ghana and go and be doing something because it's Canada or you. And he keeps saying, so now when the prayers are shifting from, we are not just praying for the leaders, we are praying for the country to get up so that he said we are losing our young people and we are losing them for nothing just because a few people want to sit at the top and do what they like so that everybody suffers. We need to rise up. DTV, I don't know if there's any initiative you can come up with to highlight and celebrate people who are doing well. I think that when people who are doing well in leadership are highlighted, celebrated, and trumpeted, they become a model. When the airwaves are flooded with corruption, insecurity, it even breeds fear. It communicates sometimes the message that this is the way to go. If you are not corrupt, you can't succeed. But there are some people who are not corrupt, who are doing the right thing, and they are succeeding. There are some people who are going according to the book, honestly and truly serving God and country, and they are doing well. I think it's about time we start celebrating such people, start bringing them to the fore, highlighting lessons that we can learn from them. And from us, from my church next gen, I'll keep drumming it in their ear. The next generation is right now. The next generation, it has started already. And so if you are not prepared for the future right now, you'll be left behind. I pray that God will give our leaders wisdom and, more importantly, courage to be able to back their words with actions. Because largely they say nice things. You listen to the president and you say, he's a good man. He has good intentions. But the road to hell is paved with good intentions. We need to see action.
That's right. I'll take those as your last words. Thank you so much, Pastor Buddy, forensic scientist and also a pastor at Action Chapel International. And then, let me just take your last words. I mean, his last words overshadowed your last words.
We thank God. It's just my hope and my prayer that, like Pastor Buddy said, we will develop the courage and leadership to start to do the right thing. I think that we have made some progress because in the past there wasn't space to express ourselves like this. The Rawlings era through the coup d'etat. Then became the constitutional era. Plurality of radio stations, TV stations. We're expressing ourselves. I think where we are now is that the politicians are trying to do better than their colleagues, so it's like we did better here than you and all that. But I think you have to now shift from comparisons of mediocrity to the things that will bring about real lasting change. It's a process, but I think we are taking too long to evolve, especially with President Mahama having a second bite of the cherry. He's been there, he's gone home for 8 years and is back. It will be most unpardonable if that change we are looking for doesn't start to show clearly. I think he started very well, but yesterday's presser and some of these news that we've had today is sort of, exactly, and my optimism is deeply shaken, I must say. And it's my hope that it's just one misstep and not rather one of many more missteps to come.
Well, Reverend Baby, he's an architect and a builder, and also the name of the church again.
Eagles Network
Eagles
International
Network.
Ministry.
Why would
And
you
then,
just carry Ghana and fly us to a better place? What's all this? Like you have left us the chicken and all of that. We are just mingling with all this. Just let the eagle
Lord
carry
is our
us.
helper.
The Lord better be. Well, thank you so much for coming
It's
through.
always a pleasure.
We should be having conversation about schizophrenia. I told you earlier, and it's a huge convo. People say they hear voices. Some people feel stuff crawling on their skin and all of that. And you don't want to miss that discussion. That we're going to be having sports and all that. So let's go for a quick break. And then when we get back, the show continues.